Hey, it's Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project, and sitting with me, sort of through the internet, is Eric Carell. Welcome, Eric. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate it. Appreciate having me on.
And of course, Eric is here because he is a successful niche site owner. He's sold a site or two, and he has some pretty good history and experience with niche sites. So I know, Eric, I know some of your history and sort of where you came from, but can you tell us a little bit about your background, your education, and professionally what you've done before you've gotten into niche sites?
Sure. Yeah, I went to the University of Missouri. I majored in political science and minored in geography and GIS, which is Geographical Information Systems. After I was done with school, I worked for an ISP, an internet service provider, mapping. They were laying down fiber optic cable, and so I was mapping their fiber optic plant, their infrastructure. And while I was working there, I built my first niche site. It was a kayaking, canoeing, scuba diving, just kind of outdoor water sports website. And I owned that for probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I think close to 2 years. And um, and then I just sold that last November 2015.
Cool.
And I quit my job. I was able to quit my job at the beginning of 2015. So I've been doing niche sites or internet marketing related work since then, full time.
All right. Cool. And where are you based out of right now?
I live in a moderately big city in South Brazil called Caxias do Sul. It's near the Uruguayan border.
That is cool. Very cool. And I guess, had you been to Brazil before you started your travels, or how'd you end up there?
No, I after I quit my job, I was working full time, and I was generating enough income to kind of be location independent. I went to Canada for a bit, and then went to Europe for a while. And I've always known I wanted to go to South America, and I wanted to go to Brazil, um, especially. So I basically, when I was in Germany, I just kind of picked up a ticket to the cheapest place I could in Brazil, and I ended up in a very underdeveloped area. I mean, dirt roads.
Yeah.
Nobody there spoke English. I don't think anybody there had seen anybody not from their neighborhood
Right.
for like their entire lives. So but yeah, and so I traveled around Brazil, and I loved it. And then I traveled around to other places in South America. But then I came back to Brazil,
Gotcha.
and I really enjoy it here.
That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. The cheapest place you
Yeah,
can get to.
that's basically how I got here.
Do you remember the first time that you heard about like internet marketing or niche sites in general or anything like that?
Yeah, my brother had told. I mean, he was working at a job that he didn't like, and he was looking for ways to make money online. And Spencer from Niche Pursuits ran this contest to help somebody basically walk somebody through building an niche site from A to Z. And he ran this contest. My brother won the contest. So once he started building the niche site, I followed along through that case study, and then um, I started doing a little bit of work for him, writing and editing and stuff like that for his niche site, and then I just ended up building one of my own.
Gotcha. And that was the water
That
sports
was
site.
that was a water sports site, yeah.
Cool. So I guess you probably sold the site and you had, some capital. I assume you
hmm
used it to travel with, but I know you're also, doing this stuff full time. So can you tell us about, sort of your current project that you're working on, and then I have a lot of questions after that. But yeah, what are you
Sure.
working on right now?
Yeah, so I do enjoy the outdoor sports realm. I mean, I enjoy it in my day to day life. But so that's and I had success with it with my first site. So I wanted to get into the same sort of thing, but more of an authority site, more of a larger sports. Just largest outdoor sports authority site. So I invested into a new project. It's a site called True North Athletics, and it covers, as of right now, it covers running, hiking, yoga, climbing, cycling, and camping. It's doing okay. It's a broad site, so
Right.
to really get it earning and getting a lot of traffic, it's going to take a lot of links to do that. But it's doing well. It's earning a bit of money, and I think it has close to 200 articles on it, or maybe 100, 170 somewhere in there. Um,
Okay.
but that's the kind of the main thing I'm working on. I have I think one or two sites that I kind of work on passively, but they're more niche, and I just don't spend a lot of time with them.
Sure.
But I've also been helping other people with sites build links to their site as well, white hat links.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Now, I guess a lot of people wonder how long it takes to actually start earning money from a brand new site, like a brand new domain and that sort of thing. So I know your athletic site may be, a bit larger of a project, but can you tell us a little bit about how long you think it takes, or how long your sites take, rather, to start earning some money, say $100 a month or so?
Sure. Um, there's different ways to do it. I mean, I think some people, like what I've tried to do with this site is I try to age it through the sandbox.
Hmm.
So I bought the domain, threw like 4 articles on there, and just kind of let it age while I was working on my first site. Um, and I think that helped, because by the time I was ready to work on it, I imagined that it had already gone through the sandbox. It was still it's still a big site, so it's kind of hard to really determine if that helped a lot or
Sure.
not, because it's not doing incredible. I mean, it's not getting thousands of hits a day or anything. But and I know other people do. I think there's like Matt Diggity's 4-step
Right.
sandbox um, um,
Sure.
guide. But there's other things that people do. But I think probably if I had to do it again, I wouldn't age through the sandbox. I would just start adding articles consistently and start building links. Once I had a full looking site.
Sure.
I think if you do that, if you want to get to $100 a month, I think you can do that in 6 to 8 months from conception of the site.
Okay. That is really good to hear, because that's about what I think. You may
Mhm.
be able to have a one-off month a little sooner, but like
Yeah.
4 other people said about 6 to 9 months. So
Mhm.
it makes me think that we're all probably right
Yeah.
since we all think the same. So that's a
Yeah.
good sign that we've all come to that conclusion. So,
Yeah.
all right. That's like I said, that's good to hear. Now, quick note, you mentioned like Matt Diggity. I know him a little bit, and just to
Mhm.
let everyone know that like shortening the sandbox period, I think what Matt recommends, and Eric, tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, but I think it's like social shares, and then you have some press releases, and then what else? There's like PBM
There's
links.
PBN links. I forget the last one. I never tried it. I know there's a lot of people trying to go through. I don't remember the last one though, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure, but it's something like that
Uh
where
huh.
essentially it makes your site look like there's some
Yeah.
social shares around it and some
It's
buzz.
getting tossed around the net.
Yeah, so and it makes sense, and I think he does a lot of tests and stuff, and he knows what he's doing. So I think
Hmm.
he is probably making it work out, but I assume you have to get each part right. And I know he has a
Yeah.
large budget to work with, so I don't think it's
Exactly.
necessarily cheap. Um, so let's see. You did mention content. You talked about having like 170 or like 200 articles roughly,
Yeah.
and
Somewhere.
I guess can you tell us a little about your approach to content? And I guess if you want to go talk about, keywords also, I know they come into play a lot when you're talking about content.
Yeah. So what my approach was when I started this site is, I wanted to reverse engineer all of the keywords that I found. So I wanted to find good sites in each category, each silo of my site. So I wanted to find, good niche sites in the cycling niche and the hiking niche, etc., that were each getting a large amount of traffic with a low amount of I don't know if you still use the Moz DA metric.
I do, yes.
But with a low DA getting a large amount of traffic. So basically I just found enough of those sites in each one of the niches that I could just reverse engineer each one of those sites to get keywords. And I wanted to have an array of sites because some sites hide their PBNs from search engine tools, for tools to backlink tools.
Right.
So I didn't want to take all my keywords from one source, just in case a site was doing that. And then basically what I did is I had 30 product related article, best X product related articles written first, because those earn first. And then I had 30 just general information articles written, but they're still targeting keywords.
Okay.
And then once I had that, I started building links.
Gotcha. And you, I take it you probably use SEMrush to, research your competition to get those keywords and determine the traffic and all that.
Yeah, SEMrush or Ahrefs as well.
Okay, yeah, Ahrefs. They're improving a lot of stuff on their, their whole tool suite of tools rather, and they have a pretty solid. Actually, I kind of like Ahrefs a little bit better, but
Yeah, I do too. I use it, when I can.
Yeah.
But SEMrush is kind of what I started out using when I was started looking for keywords for the site.
Gotcha. Okay. And it sounds like you're doing 50-50 affiliate and non-affiliate content, which is cool. That's exactly what I try. I try to start sites like that. I think I probably need to go back and audit like some of my existing sites because I'm pretty sure I have too much affiliate content, but it's nice to, you could drive a lot more traffic in some ways because affiliate marketers are not necessarily going after these non-affiliate search terms. So you may be able to funnel traffic, build an email list and stuff like that. So, and
one more thing I forgot to mention is on top of those kind of 50-50 to 30-30 when I started out, I also had larger pillar posts, so like massive guides that also targeted keywords, but not. It wasn't a requirement that they targeted keywords, but it just happened that they targeted. That I was able to find big guides that also targeted big keywords, so I could have linkable assets to build to. Gotcha. And then all my all of the links, the internal links, are linking to my product pages within those.
Okay, gotcha. So it's sort of like a silo type setup, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you may not even have like a strict silo parent-child relationship. You're just linking in a smart way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you need to get some water, Eric?
Yeah. Real quick. Is that all right?
Yeah. No problem.
Okay. 1 second.
We'll come back to it. All right. So you mentioned that you have basically just a huge amount of like verticals that you can cover: hiking and climbing and whatever, running, stuff like that, yoga. And in my mind, think that you can get to revenue faster if you focused on one vertical at a time, but it sounds like you sort of like went wide before you went deep. So
Yeah,
is that correct?
that's correct, and that's one thing I would change if I could do it again. I tried to expand too quickly, I think, and if I could do it again, I would just focus on one silo and build it out completely, and then expand naturally like from there.
Right.
But I had a kind of a set amount of categories I wanted to cover, and I just wanted to fill out those categories, and I chose that over building the silos out individually, and I would have changed it if I could do it again.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. And like I'm doing this with one of my sites, by the way, but I know that essentially when you're when you're building out a new site, even if you're thinking it'll be and I'm talking to the audience, not you specifically, Eric.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you kind of want to pick something that's narrow enough that you could focus on like one specific topic, like yoga, or something, and then but you want to make it broad enough, like athletics, so that you can like expand sort of infinitely if you want, but you don't have to. Right. You can add like one more and just like do yoga and like climbing, and then that's it. And I sort of like the idea of a narrow focus, and essentially you're just able to like put your effort into one space instead of spreading it thin. And I make the mistake in my, the projects that I do for work. So I have a niche site, I have a blog, I have a course, I have some other stuff. And all of a sudden I'm not really getting much done in anything. I'm just doing a tiny amount in each one, and I bet that's what you found after you dug in and you realized maybe you should have stayed in one vertical. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay. And did you adjust after you realized maybe you would have done things differently, or how have you adjusted because of that?
Yeah, I kind of after I had them all built out and I realized how big the site was after that, because for so long I was just focused on, just getting a bunch of content on there. I wanted just, like a full site, a site with a bunch of different articles, so that once I started building links, I just had a lot of opportunities, But once I kind of realized how big the site was, I decided just to focus on one, and I started building links to. I had the pillar post that we talked about. I had a big guide with an infographic and everything for that silo, and I just started building links after that silo. And after that, I just kind of focused on that one.
Gotcha.
And for the most part, I am still working on that. There have been other opportunities where I built links out to other silos, and really, as long as you're building links to your site, it's all going to count towards your DA eventually, So
right.
I don't get too caught up on that, but I've tried for the most part to focus on one silo, so at least that one out of the 6 silos I have starts getting some more momentum, and kind of pull the other ones along with it.
Gotcha. And you mentioned link building a couple times, and I believe that adding content is one thing, and I believe you could probably scale out content pretty well. I mean, you could hire 5 or 10 writers, get a few editors on your staff, and then it kind of can work on its own. Maybe you just add a content manager and you don't have to interface with more than one person. But when you're building links, that's a different story. There's a lot of work there. So can you tell me about your link building strategy?
Yeah, I've tried a lot of different things, and I've had a lot of different things work. I at the beginning of the year, I really wanted to set out to become a top tier link builder. I followed Chris Lee of RankXL, and and he was saying that he was building 50 links a month, which is just for one person, that's just crazy, But I wanted to get to that caliber because I feel like a lot of people have different takes on link building, but in my opinion, if you're a link builder, if you're able to build out those sorts of links, then you have so much more opportunity in terms of SEO than other people. So I've tried different things. Links and resources pages work really well. They convert easily because people build those pages to specifically to link out to pages, to people
Sure.
like you.
Yeah.
So they convert well, and they're generally easy to get, and that's where I started out.
Uh-huh.
When I made the transition from PBNs to white hat link building, I started out doing links and resources pages because it was such an easy transition. You just have to send out emails with a decent script, and then you're more more often than not, people are willing to link back to you.
Before you go
Those are
on,
fun. Yeah, go
um,
ahead.
so for the resources, I know of the technique, but I've never done it because a lot of times people, um, in my brain, right? A lot of times people will see your site, they'll realize it's an affiliate type site, and they won't give you a link,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe the resources page isn't updated long. So can you tell me how you found the resources pages that converted well for you?
Um, yeah. So I've done a few different things. Um, a lot of it has to do with just like the queries you use when
Sure.
about queries when you're searching in Google. So you have your vertical and then in parentheses or however you want to. There's tons of different ways to do it, but you can say in parentheses recommended pages so that for those types of sites they're bringing up the recommended pages
Sure.
uh, pages up.
Okay.
Um, so in the past, I have done just try to get links to the root domain, just my homepage, and that was fine because at this point my site doesn't look like your typical affiliate site.
Sure.
It's not just 5 pages of just links and
Right.
Amazon links and whatnot. Um, so it did work, but what worked much better is when I targeted um, when I tried to find pages for my specific guides, my pillar guides,
Hmm.
um, because you're not just having a link to your root domain. You're actually having a link to like a big, huge guide that it looks really good. It's filled with one of our bigger guides is like 6,000 words.
Right.
Um, has tons of great information there, tons of media, and um, it's good to kind of introduce them to your site, showing that sort of resource.
Okay.
So it's been easier when I was able to niche down more,
Hmm.
not just target general outdoor sites, but for running guide, target running sites, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's easier and it converts better that way.
Gotcha. Okay. That is cool. And then for some of you were about to launch into some more stuff that you do after pages.
Hmm. Yeah. I also have been doing guest posts a lot lately, and guest posts, in my opinion, are the best types of links to get. Um, if you get like a contextual link to your website, I think that Google values those more than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, so I just have like a big list of Google queries that I use to target sites that are using guest posts, and there's some that work okay. There's some that don't really work that well, and I've kind of yeah, as you go on and as you try different queries, you kind of learn which ones to nix and which ones to use. Um, and I have some go-tos that I use basically every time, and they always produce good results. Um, what I also do is I search from the U.S., UK, and from Australia,
Hmm.
because each one of those search results in Canada, each one of those search results, basically each one of those queries searched bring in different sites every time.
Ah, interesting. I'd never thought of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it does make a difference. Yeah. Um, so basically, from there, I build a list out. Um, I use Google Drive and kind of build out the site, email.
Hmm.
Um, if they have like guest post guidelines page, I have that so I can give it to a writer. And um, and then basically I use this tool called GMass,
Uh-huh.
and it's a way to it's a free, cheap, like a free way to send out mass emails from Gmail,
Hmm.
and it works really well. And basically, I just hit them with a really simple script, just saying like, "Hey, I came across your site. I'd love to write for you." Blah blah blah. Just keep it really simple, but I also keep track of who responds, who doesn't, so I can hit them up with a follow up and even a third follow up if I feel like it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so I use, or I have used a tool called, it's like yet another mail merge, Yam. Have you
Mhm.
heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I haven't used it.
So it's probably similar, but you create a spreadsheet and then it hooks up to Gmail, and then you could send like 50 emails at a time, and it
Exactly right.
like
Yeah.
changed the way that I was doing outreach. Instead of sending one email per minute, it takes like 5 minutes to send out 50 emails. You just grab the list. You have to get the email somehow, so it pays someone
Yeah.
to research that. But yeah, it's pretty cool the tools they have to enable you to send out a lot of emails fast.
Yeah. I
So
mean, before that, I was using canned responses through
yeah, which
Gmail.
I did that a little bit too, or used like a CRM for outreach, like
Uh-huh.
Ninja Outreach is what I use now. But I've also checked out BuzzStream, which was a lot buggier and harder to use than
Hmm.
than anyone makes out to
Yeah.
be. So
Yeah.
do you also put like references to your previous guest posts?
No.
And no,
No. Some people do that. I just try to keep it really simple because I think that the more um, stuff you have in there, just kind of the more salesy it looks,
right.
and I'm trying to avoid that. So I just keep it really simple, and I make up for that for kind of the simplicity. It respond. I mean, I didn't think it would work that well, but they respond to it really well, and I make up with that by um, sending follow up emails. So
Gotcha.
basically, I treat what I try to do. My philosophy with it is to treat every um, you know guest post prospect as a sale.
Right. Okay.
So it's been working really well for me.
How many times do you send follow ups and stuff?
After the first email, I usually send the follow up email exactly a week later, and then the third email I'll probably give another 1 or 2 weeks before I send the third one out. But I don't send any more than three.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. I found, and you're only sending to sites that have some sort of um, indication that they do guest posts, right? Like they have
Yeah,
a Write for Us page or something like that, right?
yeah, uh-huh.
Gotcha. And I think that's probably a key differentiator. Like one thing I do is like I'll send it to anybody. Like
Oh yeah.
I like to see if they have a guest post, but usually
Hmm.
I'll just send it to anyone. So I find that having the reference to another guest post or three that I've published provides like
Hmm.
some social proof. But in your case, if you're just going after people who are already raising their hand and they're like, yeah, we do guest posts, then I see why it wouldn't be as important.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for me, it just converted higher that way, because it shows that they've done in the past.
Yes.
Um, Especially when I target some of the queries I target sites with categories
Hmm.
specifically for guest posting,
Sure.
and those convert just incredibly.
Okay.
So I spend my time, yeah, finding sites because I mean it's a really big pain, like going through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a day's worth of work, to go through and find 300 prospects, 2 or 300 prospects, getting the emails for them and everything. Especially for me, I don't hire anybody; I just do it all myself, So it's a lot of work. So if I'm going to do that and send out 2 or 300 emails, I want to target people who I know are going to, who I know I at least have accepted them in the past.
Yep. Yep. So let's see. How many, links or guest posts are you trying to do in a month at this point?
It depends and it's different because I do it. I've just started doing. I'm helping other people out with links as well. So altogether, somewhere in the realm of like 30 to 50 per month,
Okay.
with guest posting and just all the links I'm building altogether. About 30 to 50 per month. I've been trying to do.
Damn. That is a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes, it doesn't work out as well.
Yeah.
But I've also gotten a guest post on, DA80 site. I've gotten links on University of Michigan site. Which is like DA93.
Right.
I've gotten some huge links in there, just kind of utilizing these tactics.
Yeah. So were those from like guest posts or from the resource page too?
Yeah, there's different ways. One was for like a resource page. The DA81 was a guest post.
Really?
I've had some other DA70s and 50s. So we've had some big links for it, but for the site, for my site, my main site. But it's like I said, it's just so big and so broad. It's going to take a lot more, I think, to really get it where it needs to be.
Right. So one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I know that you and I have a similar approach where I guess you didn't get burned by PBN so much in the past, but you have a healthy respect for the issues that one could run into if you use a PBN.
Sure.
And what I want to ask is it taking longer to rank your site, even though you're getting these basically awesome, like really high authority links? Is it taking longer to rank it than what you would have expected?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, because the site is so big and because I started out building out the site, not one silo at a time, but just kind of all together,
Right.
I think it has taken longer because of those decisions I made early on.
Gotcha.
I think, like you said with PBNs, it's I don't use them, and I did in the past, but I don't use them now. But for people who do use them, and they can build link, and they have control over anchor text, they have control over which pages they link to and stuff like that. They are powerful in that respect. That you can start ranking.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good hunch on best X product page, you can start building a bunch of links to that page and have that rank. And so I think that you can make money quicker.
Yeah.
I just don't think that benefit outweighs the cons.
Right. So I have a slightly different take, and maybe we could just talk it out.
Yeah.
So I think the results are the same, the symptoms are the same, but I sort of believe that a PBN can rank, or someone using a PBN can rank faster because they're putting their links on a page, probably the home page, but they're probably putting their links on a page that has an authority of like a PA 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
While you have your guest posts going on like a DA 70 site, but the PA on that page is like 2 until it ages, until it gets some links. And I mean, it's just kind of a nothing page for a little while. That's sort of my theory, but I know I've gotten, a lot of guest posts on great sites, totally niche relevant. The article is all about where it's linking to. There's relevancy all over, and it's just taking longer. Like, it's happening, but it's like months further out than I expected. Now, the thing is, it takes longer to rank anyway, and then it takes more links to displace someone, I think. But once we get there, once you and I have like built this foundation of like white hat links, like it's going to be really hard for someone to displace you unless they put in the same amount of time as you and more. So I guess in summary, what I'm saying is I think the white hat links take longer to age because they're not artificially high like a PBN's page authority.
Yeah. To be honest, it's just something I don't know a ton about the specifics of the metric of PA. But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I'm sure you're right. I mean, I've seen people who use I mean, there's no. We've all used like PBNs. You know, we know how powerful they are, and like
Yeah.
the flexibility you have with them. You know, so I mean, you're probably right, and I would be lying if I said that every once in a while I didn't have the temptation to just like, man, the site's taking for so long, man. If I could just pay somebody to throw like 20 BBN links at it to like every little little
Yeah.
affiliate page I wanted, that'd be so nice. But um, so yeah, I'm not arguing with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I want this site to last 30 years, and if even if it's not ranking, I'm impatient too, so that's why the temptation's there. But even if it's not ranking super well within the first year, I'm opting for the longevity of the site.
Right. Same here, man. I don't have the stomach to deal with that risk. And I mean, I talked to lots of people who have, they're making a great income. They have, 70 PBNs in their network. And they're like, I need to move away from this stuff. It's too stressful. It's a real pain in the butt to maintain. And, I think the patience that you and I have, it'll pay off in the long
Yeah,
run. So I think we're making the
yeah,
right decision here.
yeah. I think so too, and it's just the peace of mind. Like those guys that you're talking about, are always worried about the next update, and stuff like that. That we just sleep easy when it comes to that stuff,
Right.
which is nice. Like there's to each his own. This is just what I choose. But I've used PBNs in the past. I think we all have, at one point. But as for now, I'm trying to play by the rules, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to build a long-term, a big authority brand that I can stand behind, and I'm proud of. And I don't want to wake up one day to have it, so completely sunk. Some of these guys are, um, they feed their families with that income. Not saying anything bad about it. I'm not, but they feed their families with their income. And if they woke up one day and their entire network was trashed, like that's a big problem.
That
You
is a
know,
big problem, man. It's like you're like making $600 a day to making like $6 a day. That's a serious problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big problem. So I mean, you're right. And I haven't gotten burned in the past, so I mean, I've lucked out in that regard. But I just want to build a clean site, that plays by the rules and just bank on longevity of it.
Yeah. So with that said, like what's your sort of target revenue and in what time frame, say like over the next 6 to 12 or 18 months or so?
Target revenue.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to say. This right now the site's monetized with Amazon and AdSense. At some point I want to get into media.net. Um, People are just making a killing with them right now, but it's not like AdSense where you just sign up. You have to have a certain amount of traffic, and they have to accept you. It's like an interview process.
Right.
um, but with all the traffic, um, or with all the revenue sources in mind, within the next year, I'd like to be at 1,500 to 2,000 a month for the main site.
Okay. Right on.
But um, that it's just taking a little longer, and so
Yeah.
it's really at this point, I just have to focus on hunkering down and just getting links built. I mean, that's the main priority right now. But at the same time, I need income, and
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm living in a foreign country, and I don't have a job, and like I don't have a day-to-day job, a 9 to 5 job, so I do need an income. So that's why I've had to kind of pick up side projects to get by. But I mean, I believe in the site, and I've done great keyword research, and I'm building good links, and it has good content, so I know it's going to earn. It's just kind of a matter of when.
Gotcha. Now, it sounds like you had a couple smaller sites, but you're not spending too much time on it. So is it safe to say you sort of have like just one project, this one site that you're focusing on right now?
Yeah. One site I'm focusing on. In fact, there is another site that I was working on it, before we called, but I'm almost never working on it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's more niche, and it's a good market. But for the most part, 90% of my time is focused on one side.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a really important thing. I should do more of that myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know guys who have 10 or 15 sites, but if you build out one good site and you really utilize all the different types of monetization, you can have one good, clean site that's better and bigger than 15 affiliate-based sites.
I think so too. So, if you could go back sort of to your early days starting out in niche sites, is there any advice that you would give yourself from what you know now?
Um, yeah, definitely with um, just link building in general. People are so like scared of it. I mean, that's kind of it's. I mean, it's what I consider my. It's what I am in terms of SEO. It's what I'm best at. Um, but so many people are scared of it, especially moving from PBNs to YAD link building, because people think it's just like super time consuming and
Right.
it's a big pain, and it's really just not that bad, and it's not near as expensive as PBNs. But just focusing on like learning link building, and another thing is there's a lot of things I was stressed out about at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Competition, and if I would see another niche site kind of coming up in the ranks or beating me out, I would stress out about it a bunch. But if they're ranking, it's a good sign. If another niche site is ranking, that's a good sign. It means Google likes those types of sites. So
Yeah.
at this point, I welcome it.
Yeah.
But before I would stress out about it a lot, and just grinding, just getting it out, just sitting down and actually spending hours per day, getting good content up, focusing on getting good content, not just getting content up, but focusing on getting good content.
Right. I know what you mean, man. It's like you just got to sit down and do the work sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not easy or super fun or anything, but sometimes you just got to write and build some links.
Yeah, it's not super fun, but yeah, I mean, focusing on getting good content up, not just putting stuff up for the sake of having more articles, but focusing on getting good content and making friends and reaching out with people who are in your niche.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Got a couple more questions. Are you still good on time right now?
yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna get some water real quick.
Okay.
Second. Okay, we're good.
Yo, man, you're gonna have to go to the bathroom soon. That's a shitload of water.
I know.
All right. So I just have like two more questions, and then
Sure.
like I have some. I'll stop recording, and then I have like a couple more questions I was gonna ask you too.
Sure.
So okay. So we're back. Eric got some more water. He's super thirsty. I'm not sure what he was doing earlier, probably working out or hiking or something cool. So I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask anyway. Your end goal for your site. So some people want to sell them for a big, exit, and some people want to have cash flow. So where do you fall in that spectrum?
It's hard to say. Short to long term goal, I would like just like an income, from a sizable income from the site. But I think eventually what I really want to get into is buying and selling sites. So I'd like to sell it eventually once it's making a good amount of money, because I think at this point People are willing to pay a lot more for a site that's already built, already making good money, already proven to work. The site that I sold, it sold for just south of 5 figures, and it wasn't even really making that much money. If you can get a site up to $4, $5, $6,000, you can sell for a lot of money, and then take that and maybe buy a few sites. And then once you're buying sites that are making money, you can try to increase the revenue over a few years. But even if you don't, you're still making money. You can still have it for a year. Keep the income that it makes, and sell it. Even if you sell for the same amount of money you bought it for, you still made money throughout that year. So I'd like to have kind of a larger media company that's just buying up sites, keeping them for a while, and reselling them. Or buying up sites that are kind of struggling and fix them up, and then resell them. But I want to stay within the online market.
Sure. So I think, I had one other question, which was, what are your goals in the next 1 to 2 years? But I think you kind of answered it a little bit. But do you have any other specific goals, or any other targets or things in your mind that you want to sort of aim towards or get better at, maybe in your your system of building sites?
Yeah. Kind of smaller goals. I would like to have a kind of a team. Once you have, there's a guy named Ryan Stewart that has a really great method. Kind of like a pipeline of a team for link building. And once you have if you have somebody who's prospecting, they hand it off to somebody who does the outreach, and that person hands it off to a writer. Once you have kind of a pipeline or a team, you can have a client, you can have a set of clients, and you can be building out hundreds of links a month, hundreds of clean quality links a month. I would like to establish something like that for me and for potential clients as well. And the more long term, I would like to do a business to business niche site. Something where you can do the same amount of work, but the commissions are much higher. Like
Sure.
if you can find, I have a friend who has a site within the financial niche, a pretty competitive niche, and he's making, that site's making $18K a month.
Wow.
Just because the payouts are huge.
That's crazy.
If you can get exactly, if you can get something like that. And I've seen his sites; they're not anything special. They're not anything. They're not. They're 5 pages. The articles aren't that ridiculous, but they're well written, and they have links in them. Affiliate links. If you can get something like that with software or something where the payouts are 5 or 10K, you're making a lot of money. So I'd like to get into something like that, because I have the know-how. I just don't. I just haven't ever looked into it.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, any other, final things you want to mention, or do you want people to follow you anywhere or anything like that?
I don't really have anywhere to follow, honestly. I haven't really thought about it too much, but
Sure.
I guess just where I am is, I just want to reiterate, how important link building is. There's a lot of people out there that don't emphasize the importance of it. And to me, for the purpose of this video, for my honest opinion, I think that if you can figure out a way to build good, clean, quality links at scale, then you can get into almost any market. You can do well.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's what I'm trying to do. And so cool. That's the information I would want to emphasize.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks, Eric. It was great talking to you, and we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
Thanks.